All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I'm Anuja Kumar and with me is Sunil Verma. The headlines. Voting underway for single-phase assembly election in Uttarakhand and Goa. Polling also begins for second phase in 55 assembly seats of Uttar Pradesh. Election Commission makes elaborate arrangements in view of COVID-19 pandemic, extends poll timing by 1 hour in all assembly constituencies. Prime Minister Narendra Modi calls upon electorates to vote in record numbers for strengthening the festival of democracy. Prime Minister and other BJP leaders to address election rallies in Uttar Pradesh and Punjab today. ISRO successfully launches Earth Observation Satellite EOS-04 along with two other co-passengers, INS-2TD and Inspire Sat-1. Schools reopen in several states today amid declining COVID-19 cases. India administers over 172 crore 81 lakh vaccine doses under nationwide vaccination drive so far. And Union Minister Bhupendra Yadav lays foundation stone of 500-bed hospital of Employees State Insurance Corporation in Manesar, Haryana. With the new Omicron variant of coronavirus causing concern, we appeal to our listeners to be vigilant and to get fully vaccinated and help others, including children between 15 and 18 years, to get vaccinated. Please continue to follow these three simple steps to stay safe. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki doori for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact national helpline numbers 011 2397 8046 and 1075. As our nation celebrates the 75th year of independence, a series of events are being organized by the government as part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. To commemorate the occasion as a Jan Utsav, All India Radio News brings its listeners a special quiz on India's freedom movement and its glorious history. The quiz is being conducted every Monday and Tuesday in the morning news since 16th of August and will continue till 15th August 2022. India Post has joined hands as the logistics partner with All India Radio News for the Amrit Mahotsav quiz. And coming to our 53rd question of the Amrit Mahotsav quiz in English, known as the Agni of India, a revolutionary who was a member of Naujawan Bharat Sabha helped Bhagat Singh and Rajguru escape after they eliminated a British police officer. Name the revolutionary. I repeat the question. Known as the Agni of India, a revolutionary who was a member of Naujawan Bharat Sabha helped Bhagat Singh and Rajguru escape after they eliminated a British police officer. Name the revolutionary. Listeners can send their responses to the question over WhatsApp on 882-654-6262. I repeat, 882-654-6262 or through email on Amrit Mahotsav quiz @prasarbharati.gov.in. And now the news. Polling started peacefully in Goa and Uttarakhand for single-phase assembly election and in Uttar Pradesh for second of the 7th-phase assembly election. The polling will continue till 6 p.m. All the necessary facilities and security arrangements have been made to ensure free and fair polling during this phase. In view of the pandemic, the Election Commission has decided to extend the poll timing by 1 hour in all assembly constituencies. In Uttar Pradesh, there are a total of 2.02 crore eligible voters in this phase. In all, 23,404 polling stations have been set up in the concerned constituencies. 586 candidates are in fray for 55 assembly seats spread over 9 districts of the state. More from our correspondent.
1 crore 8 lakh male voters and 94 lakh female voters along with 1269 voters of third gender are deciding the political fate of 586 candidates including 69 women candidates in this phase of elections today. A total of 23,404 polling booths have been set up for this phase of elections, including 252 Adarsh polling stations and 127 all-women workers polling places. The prominent faces in the fray in this phase include senior Samajwadi Party leader Mohammad Azam Khan, former minister in UP government Dharam Singh Saini, Dharampal Singh, ministers in state government Suresh Khanna, Baldev Aulak, Gulab Devi, and former mayor of Bareilly Supriya Aran. The districts which are going to poll today are Saharanpur, Bijnor, Amroha, Muradabad, Rampur, Bareilly, Shahjahanpur, Badaयूं and Sambhal. Out of the 55 seats which are going for poll today, BJP bagged 38 last time, while Samajwadi Party got 15 and Congress got 2 seats in last assembly elections. Sushil Chandra Tiwari, AIR News, Lucknow.
In Goa, 301 candidates, including 26 women, are contesting for 40 seats, out of which 1 seat is reserved for the scheduled caste. Goa has a total of over 11.6 lakh electors. 1,722 polling stations have been set up across the state for their convenience. We spoke to Chief Electoral Officer Goa, Mr. Kunal, on voting arrangements for today's election.
We have made extensive preparation to upgrade our polling station infrastructure. Assured minimum facilities have been put in place and ramps, toilet facilities, all have been upgraded. We have launched a youth-centric program as part of our voter outreach program, in which we organize several competitions like selfie competition, slogan making competition, selfie stand making competition, short film making competition, Santaram competition. So that way, extensive program throughout last 2-3 months are in place. And we are expecting a very high percentage this time from all the categories.
Mr. Kunal also gave details about the Election Commission's preparation for the absentees in the voting system.
Now with the absentee voting system, those who can't come to the polling station or feeling difficulty, they have got the opportunity to cast the vote at the home itself through postal ballot. We have also identified the vulnerable area in which extensive deployment of central forces and state forces has been done. So perfect and conducive atmosphere is there in Goa for everyone to cast their vote in a free and fair manner.
Here is more from our correspondent.
For the first time, Goa Assembly is being held in COVID time. In view of this, a special care is being taken to avoid overcrowding. In view of COVID pandemic, 80 more polling booths have been added this time. 50 polling stations are being managed by women only, whereas some polling stations are being handled by persons with disabilities. A special arrangements of voting has been made for 13,284 voters. 10 polling booths have been decorated using eco-friendly material, while 105 pink booths are managed by polling officials. For the first time, BJP is contesting all 40 assembly seats, while Congress and Goa Forward Bloc are also contesting 40 seats. TMC and Maharashtrawadi Gomantak Party are contesting 39 seats. Similarly, AAP is also contesting 39, while NCP and Shiv Sena are together fighting 23 seats. The newly formed Revolutionary Goan Party has fielded candidates in 38 constituencies. Krishna Kumar Lal, AIR News, Panji, Goa.
In Uttarakhand, polling in one phase for all 70 assembly seats began at 8 this morning. A total of 632 candidates are in the electoral fray in the state. More than 81 lakh voters will cast their votes at 11,647 polling stations across the state today. Voters will decide the political future of Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami, who is contesting from Khatima Assembly seat, and former Chief Minister Harish Singh Rawat, who is contesting in Lal Kuna seat of Nainital district. All the necessary arrangements have been made for free and fair elections. We now go over live to our correspondent Raghvesh Pandey in Dehradun. Raghvesh, polling has just begun. What update do you have for us?
Right now polling started a few minutes back before. So voters are in little number of voters are coming to polling station. I am at NIVH polling station in Dehradun. It is Mussoorie Assembly constituency. In this booth at National Institute for Visually Handicapped, special arrangements have been made and requisite accessibility facilities for visually impaired voters have been provided to enable them to exercise their franchise. For the convenience of these voters, EVM has provided with a special braille signal features by the Election Commission of India. With the availability of this facility, such visually impaired voters using would be able to exercise their right to vote on their own. Ballot paper sheets written in Braille are also be available here, including the special booth. Nearly visually impaired voters are expected to cast their votes to Braille ballots.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you for that update, Raghvesh. The Voter Verifiable Paper Audit Trail, VVPAT, is being used along with electronic voting machine, EVM, at every polling station. In view of the prevailing COVID-19 pandemic and rising cases of Omicron variant across the country, Election Commission has laid focus on COVID-safe elections with maximum participation.
The Indian Space Research Organisation, ISRO, has successfully launched the Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, PSLV-C-52, early this morning from the first launch pad of Satish Dhawan Space Centre in Sriharikota. The PSLV-C-52 mission has also injected 3 satellites into orbits. The chairman ISRO, C.S. Somnath, has said that the launch was precise with all the 4 stages being perfect. He thanked the PSLV team for the successful launch.
Good morning to all. It's totally a different way of saying good morning to our beloved country, early morning itself, with the successful mission of PSLV-C-52, EOS-04. What we have accomplished today is really marvelous. All the 3 satellites, EOS-04, InspireSat, as well as INS-2TD, have been injected as precisely as possible into their desired orbits. I express my sincere gratitude to all the team members as well as their family members for accomplishing this mission flawlessly. My best wishes to all the satellite teams for excellent and wonderful years ahead in orbit.
PSLV-C-52 placed an EOS-04 radar imaging satellite weighing 1,710 kilograms into orbit. EOS-04 is designed to provide high-quality images under all weather conditions for applications such as agriculture, forestry and plantations, soil moisture and hydrology, and flood mapping. This satellite will be positioned into a sun-synchronous polar orbit gradually. As a co-passenger, INS-2TD technology demonstrator satellite and InspireSat-1 student satellite were also placed into orbit. INS-2TD is a precursor to India-Bhutan joint satellite INS-2B. INS-2TD carries a thermal imaging camera to assess land and water surface temperature and thermal inertia in the day and at night.
Prime Minister and senior BJP leader Narendra Modi will address a public rally in Akbarpur in Kanpur Dehat, Uttar Pradesh today. He will also address a public meeting at Jalandhar in Punjab. BJP President Jagat Prakash Nadda will address public meetings at Aurangabad, Lakhimpur Kheri and Fatehpur in Uttar Pradesh today.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that polling will be held across Uttarakhand, Goa and in parts of Uttar Pradesh today. In a tweet, Mr. Modi called upon all those who are eligible to vote today to do so in record numbers and strengthen the festival of democracy. Home Minister Amit Shah has also urged people of Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand and Goa to vote in large numbers. In a tweet, Mr. Shah said, only a stable, decisive and corruption-free government can ensure the development of the state. He appealed to all the voters that their one vote will decide the bright and secure future of the state.
In Manipur, the scrutiny of nomination papers for the Phase 2 polls will be held today. 96 nomination papers were filed from 22 assembly constituencies of 6 electoral districts of the state till last date of filing nomination papers. The last date of withdrawal of candidature is February 16 for this phase, and voting will be held on March 5. Wangkhim Assembly constituency of Taubal district witnessed highest number of filing nomination papers for the second phase. 8 nomination papers were filed in this assembly constituency, while 7 nomination papers were received in Tengnaupal Assembly constituency. Only 2 candidates filed nomination papers in Nungba Assembly constituency of Tamenglong district. They are sitting MLA and Congress leader Gai Khangam and former bureaucrat and BJP candidate D. Gangmei. Former Chief Minister of Manipur and Congress leader O. I. Buwi filed his nomination in Taubal Assembly constituency, while his son Suraj Kumar Okram filed his nomination papers in Gangkok Assembly constituency. Union Minister and BJP leader Kiren Rijiju has lauded the development work done by the BJP-led government in Manipur. Addressing an election rally in Bishnupur district of the state yesterday, Mr. Rijiju said that Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been working tirelessly for the development of Northeast region, including Manipur. The voting of 6 assembly constituencies in Bishnupur district will be held on the 28th of February in the first phase. 22 candidates are in fray in these constituencies.
Union Information and Broadcasting and Youth Affairs and Sports Minister Anurag Singh Thakur is on a 2-day visit to Hyderabad. He will visit the Doordarshan Kendra at Ramantapur during the visit. He will be reviewing the activities and programs of the Doordarshan and All India Radio Kendras with senior officials later this morning. You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Voting underway for single-phase assembly elections in Uttarakhand and Goa. Polling also begins for second phase in 55 assembly seats of Uttar Pradesh. Election Commission makes elaborate arrangements in view of COVID-19 pandemic, extends poll timing by 1 hour in all assembly constituencies. Prime Minister Narendra Modi calls upon electorates to vote in record numbers for strengthening the festival of democracy. Prime Minister and other BJP leaders to address election rallies in Uttar Pradesh and Punjab today. ISRO successfully launches Earth observation satellite EOS-04 along with 2 other co-passengers, INS-2TD and InspireSat-1. Schools reopen in several states today amid declining COVID-19 cases. India administers over 172 crore 81 lakh vaccine doses under nationwide vaccination drive so far. And Union Minister Bhupendra Yadav lays foundation stone of 500-bed Hospital of Employees State Insurance Corporation in Manesar, Haryana. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts.
अपने बिजनेस को बढ़ाने के लिए लीजिए आकाशवाणी का सहयोग और दीजिए उसे बुलंदियों के पंख।
आपका बिजनेस लोकल है या राष्ट्रीय, आकाशवाणी देती है उपभोक्ताओं तक पहुंचने का हर विकल्प।
और अब तो आप घर, दफ्तर या दुकान पर बैठे बैठे कर सकते हैं आकाशवाणी के किसी भी केंद्र के लिए विज्ञापनों की बुकिंग।
आकाशवाणी के विभिन्न चैनलों पर विज्ञापन देना सुलभ और सस्ता।
बुकिंग है तो संपर्क करें 8700014242 पर।
8700014242।
Welcome back to the morning news on All India Radio. In view of declining COVID-19 cases in the country, various state governments have reopened schools from today. In Kerala, schools, Anganwadis and kindergartens reopen after an interval of 2 years as COVID-19 transmission has recorded a sharp decline. Classes will be held in adherence to COVID-19 protocols. Regular classes for Standard 1 to 9 will be conducted from morning to noon in different batches till the 19th of this month. Regular classes for students up to 12th standard with full strength will restart from the 21st. Schools have been asked to function on all days except Sundays and public holidays. We spoke to Samyukta Nair, a class 9 student in Thiruvananthapuram, as to how she feels like getting back to school after a long break.
I'm super excited as I'm going to meet my teachers and friends and be in a new class. Now, it'll be fun going back to a well-disciplined life after such a long break. So, I'm really happy going back to school.
Meanwhile, in Tamil Nadu, government has decided to reopen nursery and play schools from the 16th of this month. The government has also allowed trade fairs and increased the number of people attending weddings from 100 to 200 and funerals from 50 to 100. In Bihar, all COVID-19 related restrictions have been lifted from today in view of the overall improvement in COVID pandemic situation in the state. The State Home Department has said all schools, colleges, coaching institutes will operate with full attendance. The department has issued new guidelines regarding functioning of institutions and other services. In Uttar Pradesh, all schools have opened after declining COVID-19 cases in the state. State government has issued guidelines in this respect. Strict adherence to the COVID protocol will be compulsory for the school to conduct classes. Delhi schools has reopened for nursery to class 8 from today. In the first phase, classes from 9th to 12th were reopened in the hybrid mode, both online and offline last Monday. In its guidelines, Delhi Disaster Management Authority, DDMA, had asked schools for ensuring and monitoring proper cleaning and sanitation facilities in the schools. Students, teachers and other staff must wear masks at all times, and social distancing is to be maintained at all times in the staff rooms.
More than 172 crore 81 lakh COVID vaccine doses have been administered under the nationwide vaccination drive so far. The Health Ministry said over 49 lakh 16,000 doses were administered yesterday. Over 44,000 new cases were recorded in the last 24 hours and more than 1 lakh 17,000 recoveries were recorded during the same period. The recovery rate stands at 97.55%. 684 deaths were reported in the last 24 hours. And now, let's listen to our special program, Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव।
Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. Birth of a nation. India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of this struggle every day.
In today's episode, we remember freedom fighter Akamma Cherian, who was born on the 14th of February 1909 at Kanjirapalli, erstwhile Travancore, in Kerala. Though a teacher by profession, she quit her job to join India's freedom movement. Gandhiji gave her the title of the Jhansi Ki Rani of Travancore.
In August 1938, a public demonstration was called by the Travancore State Congress, which was suppressed by the Diwan of Travancore. People rose up in the civil disobedience movement and many nationalist leaders were imprisoned. Akamma Cherian, who was only 29 years old at the time, came forth during the trying times and emerged as a daring and charismatic leader.
She organized a massive rally to put pressure on the rulers to release the jailed leaders and to install a responsible government in Travancore. More than 20,000 people joined the protest, and people across the country hailed her for her unflinching courage.
Akamma organized the Desha Sevika Sangh, a female volunteer corps, and travelled tirelessly across the country to appeal to women to join the freedom struggle. Her efforts led to a surge in the number of women volunteers in the local bodies.
On the 24th of December 1939, she attended the annual conference of the Travancore State Congress, for which she was sentenced to 1 year of imprisonment. After release, she became the president of Travancore Congress, and in her presidential address, she welcomed the Quit India resolution passed at the Bombay session of the Indian National Congress in 1942. Akamma faced a series of arrests for violating ban orders and staging protests, but this did not deter her.
Post-independence, Akamma was elected to the Travancore Legislative Assembly in 1947. She quit active politics in 1967 and served as a member of the Freedom Fighters Pension Advisory Board. In her autobiography, she summed up her life when she wrote,
Shakespeare has said that the world is a stage and that all the men and women merely players. But to me, this life is a long protest against conservatism, meaningless rituals, societal injustice, gender discrimination, against anything that is dishonest, unjust.
Akamma Cherian continued to work for the people till her death on the 5th of May 1982. We salute the great freedom fighter.
जगातील शास्त्रज्ञ आणि काही भारतीय शास्त्रज्ञ असं म्हणत असतात की या 21व्या शतकामध्ये अन्नधान्य आणि पाण्याची टंचाई यांची तीव्रता या देशाला जाणवेल आणि या शतकाच्या अखेरीला कित्येक लोक भूक बळी पडलेली असतील, पडत राहतील आणि पाण्याच्या शिवाय माणसं तडफडतील.
We also remember nationalist Mohan Dharia, who was born on the 14th of February 1925 in Raigad district of Maharashtra. Dharia plunged into the independence struggle at the very young age of 16 years.
In 1942, Dharia and his fellows tried to take charge of the Tehsil Kacheri in Mahar, Raigad, with an armed attack. During the raid, 5 people, including a government official, died. Dharia immediately went underground. However, he was caught by the police and sent to jail. After completing his sentence, he established the organization Lok Sena to free the Janjira princely province from the Siddhi rulers.
After independence, Mohan Dharia joined politics and was elected to parliament multiple times. He was also involved with many social initiatives. AIR salutes the great freedom fighter.
We also remember nationalist Shama Charan Shukla, who died on the 14th of February 2007. His father, Ravi Shankar Shukla, was the first Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh, and Shama Charan himself became Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh 3 times. Shama Charan was inspired by the freedom movement and participated in the Quit India movement in 1942. He was the founder editor of Mahakaushal, the first Hindi daily from Raipur.
After independence, Shama Charan joined politics. He was appointed the State Irrigation Minister in 1967 and Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh thrice in 1969, 1975 and in 1989. Later, in 1999, he was elected as a Member of Parliament. His public life was marked by simplicity, ethical conduct and integrity. We salute the great nationalist. That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
Best wishes to all consumers for Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Hallmark ensures purity of gold. Always purchase hallmarked gold jewellery. For any consumer-related complaints, please contact National Consumer Helpline toll-free number 14404. Issued in public interest by Department of Consumer Affairs, Government of India. Jago Grahak, Jago.
Labour and Employment Minister Bhupendra Yadav has laid down the foundation stone of 500-bed Hospital of Employees State Insurance Corporation, ESIC, in Manesar, Haryana. The hospital will be built on 8-acre area at the cost of 500 crore rupees. Around 6 lakh workers from Gurugram and neighbouring districts of Mahendragarh, Nuh and Rewari will get treatment facility through this hospital.
A quick review of today's newspapers. BJP Congress fight for Uttarakhand, Goa in Valentine's Day vote is the top news in the Times of India today and also in all dailies. LIC files draft papers for India's largest public issue, reports the Economic Times. And finally, facts emerging from data say under trials comprise 75% of India's prison population, most in a decade. This is a story in the Times of India.
Before we end the bulletin, a reminder of today's question of the Amrit Mahotsav quiz. Known as the Agni of India, a revolutionary who was a member of Naujawan Bharat Sabha helped Bhagat Singh and Rajguru escape after they eliminated a British police officer. Name the revolutionary. WhatsApp your response on 882-654-6262 or through email on amritmahotsavquiz@prasarbharati.gov.in. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Voting underway for single-phase assembly election in Uttarakhand and Goa. Polling also begins for second phase in 55 assembly seats of Uttar Pradesh. Election Commission makes elaborate arrangements in view of COVID-19 pandemic, extends poll timing by 1 hour in all assembly constituencies. Prime Minister Narendra Modi calls upon electorates to vote in record numbers for strengthening the festival of democracy. Prime Minister and other BJP leaders to address election rallies in Uttar Pradesh and Punjab today. ISRO successfully launches Earth Observation Satellite EOS-04 along with 2 other satellites INS-2TD and InspireSat-1. Schools reopen in several states today amid declining COVID-19 cases. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.